let's get into the next topic as we end the year. Now we're at the end of the year. All of the biggest releases have pretty much come out besides Avatar. I know that the Whitney Houston biopic, I Want to Dance with Somebody, is coming out later this month. Glass Onion is hitting Netflix at the end of the month. Puss in Boots 2: The Last Wish is hitting theaters at the end of the month. And this weekend, The Whale just hit theaters, starring Brendan Fraser, a film by Darren Aronofsky. But look, my top 5 films of 2022. Starting off with an honorable mention, I'm going to say Glass Onion. Glass Onion is the sequel to Knives Out, directed and written by Rian Johnson. And I'm such a sucker for murder mysteries. I love murder mysteries so much. I love films that can just keep you guessing, and that's exactly what this film does. With such a fun cast, you have Daniel Craig, Kate Hudson, oh my gosh, Catherine Hahn, Dave Bautista.
Better get those names right. They're gonna come after you for that.
No, yeah, I know. Right. Hold up, I'm not, dude. Now that I'm on the spot, I
type it up.
Jessica Henwick, Madeline Klein, Edward Norton. I mean, Janelle Monáe was so fantastic in this movie. So yeah, I'm gonna give Glass Onion an honorable mention on my top 5. But now as we move into my top 5, at number 5, I have Puss in Boots 2: The Last Wish. Dude, have you guys seen the original Puss in Boots from
DreamWorks? No, man. No, I haven't. I'm a Shrek guy. I never seen
You're a Shrek guy?
Boots, no. Big Shrek guy. Shrek 2 is deeper than Shrek. It goes beyond the Shrek universe. I take a lot of deep takes from that movie about like family approval and things like that, and people coming together. It gets deep. Shrek 2 gets deep for me, bro. I love that movie.
Dude, I love Shrek 2. Look, G, I'm going to tell you right now, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, it is the best movie in the Shrek franchise besides Shrek 2. Like, I'd put it all over all of the other Shreks besides Shrek 2. I still have Shrek 2 over Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. But man, when this movie came out, IGN called it the Shrek's franchise's answer to Logan. That was their description of this movie. And honestly, I totally see it. And here's why. This is an animated movie that is geared for all audiences. It takes such mature themes and it wraps it up in like an animated fun kids movie. Like, it's still very fun. It's still, you can take your kids to see it and they will love it. But as an adult, you'll also understand like the deeper themes of this movie, which, it deals with facing death, accepting harsh truths, living life to the fullest while we still have it. The entire premise of this movie is Puss, who's a cat who has 9 lives, because cats have 9 lives, and he's on his last life. So now he's struggling to deal with his morality, and he's on a quest to make a wish, to wish for more lives. And on that journey, he learns a lot of different things. And the side characters in this film are so freaking amazing. Goldilocks is in it, and she's played by Florence Pugh. She's fantastic. So from the beautiful animation that reminded me a lot of Into the Spider-Verse, the animation in this movie truly looks like artwork brought to life. The animation was beautiful.
I don't want to cut you off, but did they change like the animation style? Like, is it different?
Yeah, it looks way better in this movie.
Okay, so it looks like you said Into the Spider-Verse.
It looks like the same way when you watch Into the Spider-Verse, it literally looks like a comic book coming to life. Like they animated it specifically to make it look that way. They took a ton of different animation techniques to make it look that way. In this movie, the animation looks like an artwork, a drawing brought to life. And it just looks so beautiful, man. I really, really love this movie. I loved it a lot more than I thought I was. I did not go into 2022 thinking Puss in Boots 2: The Last Wish was going to be on my top 5 of the year.
Those are the best movies, though. The movies that you didn't expect. The movies that you didn't want to watch. I think that's the problem today, is because we're making so much hype on these movies, and we can't wait for these movies to come out. And it's the ones that we didn't expect that is blowing everyone up. And The Whale is the best example of that.
Let's move on to number 4 on the list, which is The Batman. The Batman is at number 4 on my list.
That's surprisingly low for me. That's a little low for me. I'll be honest. That's pretty low.
A lot of people have it as, in their top 3 and their number 1. I really enjoyed The Batman. This is the Batman movie we've been waiting for, our whole lives. A detective story to me, again, to me, it was like the closest thing from like the Batman the animated series. That's what it felt like. Like Matt Reeves created this super immersive Gotham world. All of the villains, you know, it was so cool seeing Carmine Falcone, the Penguin. Colin Farrell was so good as the Penguin.
Yes, sir.
Seeing the Riddler, Catwoman, Joker, like that was such a great way to literally just launch this brand new Batman franchise.
Yeah.
So
really
how do you
was.
guys feel about the Batman? Where does it rank amongst, you know, your favorite movies of the year?
The Batman was good enough to give Colin Farrell his own spin-off series on HBO. I think that pretty much says it all. All the freaking weight of the world that Matt Reeves had when Ben Affleck stepped down and he left, and they had to get a new Batman, not to mention living up to the hype of The Dark Knight, which is not only one of my favorite superhero movies of all time, but one of my favorite movies of all time. The Dark Knight is a masterpiece. So to make a movie that follows up that immediately is going to be number 2, like at best, you're never going to be able to live up to The Dark Knight, because it's just, at this point, it's like The Godfather. Like, it doesn't matter what movie gets made, The Godfather just has that rep. It's like the Michael Jordan of films. And that's what kind of The Dark Knight did. So Matt Reeves had that to live up to. And the way he executed it, man, like, I felt like I was playing the Arkham games, which is my favorite thing of Batman ever, the Arkham series. That's my favorite Batman ever did. Like, any storytelling wise, anything Batman's ever done, the Arkham games is my favorite. And although I wish it was a little brighter because I couldn't see anything, I love the freaking movie. Loved it. And I had low expectations. I'm not gonna lie. I had really low expectations. Because like I said, it's The Dark Knight, guys. It's Dark Knight is freaking ridiculous.
I don't know. I think nothing lives up to The Dark Knight for sure. I agree with Gio that it's one of my not only favorite superhero movies, but one of my favorite movies, period. The Dark Knight's probably number 1 on the superhero movie list for me. It's just untouchable. But I think going into this movie, I had actually just freshly watched the Twilight series. So I had just seen Twilight for the first time and with my girlfriend, and I loved it. I thought they were great movies, but I kind of had this stigma of, like, you know, who I saw Robert Pattinson as and who he could play. And so I was a little intrigued and I was a little curious as to how he'd pull off Batman. Of course, because I love The Dark Knight, I think Christian Bale is just, you know, he's just the perfect Bruce Wayne, in my opinion. He's a pretty damn good Batman too. So I was curious to see how Robert Pattinson would pull it off. And, you know, I was pretty surprised with, you know, I had pretty low expectations, kind of like Gio said, going in, especially for Robert Pattinson as Batman. And I was blown out of the water. I was like,
Sebby, not to cut you off, bro. I had no faith. I had zero faith in Robert Pattinson. And he was literally killing it at the time.
Look, I had the complete opposite reaction, because while everyone was pooping on Edward playing the new Batman, I was like, I before I even judged that casting, I was like, whoa, Robert Pattinson, that's interesting. And then I went to go do my research on what Robert Pattinson has done since Twilight. And I was like, oh my gosh, The Rover, Good Time, Water for Elephants, The King, Devil All the Time. Like, dude, Robert Pattinson, and I'm not afraid to bring up this comparison. I think Robert Pattinson, I mean, if we look at their careers, Robert Pattinson right now is having a similar career to Leonardo DiCaprio. Think about it. Look, baby.
We'll talk about Leonardo.
Look, let me explain. Leo's the GOAT. Like Leo is a GOAT. We all can agree on that. But similar to Leo, or similar to Robert Pattinson, both of them started off as like that, you know, teen lover boy. Leo with Titanic, Romeo and Juliet, Robert with Twilight, and people kind of just put them in that little box of being, you know, the teenage girl lover boy. Everyone put them in the box, and then after that, they had those breakout performances where it's like, oh my God, these dudes have so much range. They are incredible actors. They are so much more than those teen lover boys. And now Robert Pattinson has been doing that for years, but now with the Batman franchise, he's back in like mainstream Hollywood on one of the biggest stages out there with the Batman. Anyways, back to the list. Coming in at number 3 of my top 5 films for 2022, we have Top Gun Maverick, one of the most successful films of the year, took the world by storm. Going into this year, I mean, this is a movie that really just blew away all of our expectations. Top Gun Maverick is far superior than the original Top Gun. It just provided one of the best movie experiences like in theaters, man. Like get sitting in an IMAX theater and hearing like the actual jets. One of the things I appreciate most about this movie is that everything was practical, man. And hearing like how all the actors trained for months in order to learn how to fly the planes. And then they had to direct themselves while flying the planes and shooting this movie. It provided such a unique experience.
Matt, they all flew planes. Every single one of them. I thought it was just Tom Cruise.
It was every single one of them. Every single one of them.
What?
Yeah. Dude, Tom Cruise trained them. He trained the whole cast for months.
Bro, I'm Googling that.
It's a fact. Look it up.
I saw that somewhere too. I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and the behind the scenes, it's crazy, man. Like so much work was put into this movie in order to really bring that authentic fighter pilot experience to life, and they did it so perfectly. It was so good. You know, during the final third act where they're finally going on the mission and, you know, shit's actually getting real. It was crazy, dude. I was on the edge of my seat. I had so much anxiety within me. I was like, dude, Maverick, don't die. Such a fantastic cast. Love Top Gun Maverick. One of the best movies of the year, easily. Now coming in at number 2, I have The Fabelmans, directed by Steven Spielberg. For those of you who don't know, this is pretty much a movie directed by Steven Spielberg about his life. This is like a semi-autobiography, and it's truly a love letter to cinema by the greatest director of all time. In my opinion, Steven Spielberg is the GOAT. He's the greatest director of all time. And this is like, this really felt like such a personal movie for him. And it's essentially about a kid who grows up and he falls in love with directing and making movies. And as he's growing up and you know, falling in love with this art, he's also struggling with, you know, his parents getting divorced and his, you know, and the relationship of his parents kind of just falling apart and how that affects his family. Dude, Steven Spielberg films are just so magical. There's just something about them that's just so, it's got like a little extra, it's got the sauce, bro.
That guy treats cameras like magic wands, bro.
I don't know. For me personally, this film was just super relatable in terms of like the main character and the journey he goes through. So I love The Fabelmans. But number 1, like, I'm a stan of this movie. I cannot express how much I love this film. It is the best movie of 2022. Dude, Everything Everywhere All at Once deserves all the love and praise in the world. This is easily the best movie of the year. It's not up for debate. It's going to completely dominate at the Oscars, hopefully. And I will stand this movie till the end of time. It's one of my favorite movies ever, not just of the year. It's one of my favorite movies ever. I went into this film with zero expectations. I watched it with my boy, Tropical Joe. And we went to just randomly watch this movie because the Rotten Tomatoes scores were, the film had like on 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And we were like, yo, what is this movie? And we heard like a little bit of buzz on social media about it. And then we went to go watch the movie and see what all the hype is about. And oh my gosh, this movie, again, emotionally destroyed me. I was sobbing. I was laughing. It makes you feel everything, everywhere, all at once. Like, the title is ironic, but it's true. Like, this film just balances every emotion we could possibly feel to such a perfect degree. The performances are fantastic, from Michelle Yeoh to Stephanie. Forgive me if I pronounce her last name wrong. Stephanie Su and Ki Hui Kwan, who just made his return to acting with this film.
Another great underdog story.
Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie as well. She's fantastic. This movie is something special. You know, once it came out and I watched it, I texted a friend of mine and she was telling me that this film was made on a $25 million budget, and they shot it in like a month at like an abandoned Countrywide Home Loans like office center, and only 7 people worked on the VFX. And this movie, man, is just something special. It takes a grand concept like the multiverse, which is like this grand, crazy concept, but at its core, it's such an intimate, small story about a mom and her relationship with her daughter, a mom and her relationship with her husband, a mom and her relationship with her dad. And I think that those types of movies make for the best they're just the best movies in my opinion.
I definitely think that it was the superior multiverse film for sure. Way better
Easily.
than Doctor Strange. Way better.
What's crazy is that Multiverse of Madness got delayed, but if Multiverse of Madness didn't get delayed, it would have come out the same week as Everything Everywhere All at Once. And they were so confident in this movie that they were ready for this to go up against Multiverse of Madness. And honestly, that would have been embarrassing for Multiverse of Madness, because this film it's more like it has more madness than Multiverse of Madness.
It does, man. And I'll tell you what, I'm kind of happy it didn't release at the same time, because it wouldn't be getting the attention it would have gotten. It was kind of like that. Everyone kind of went in there. I know a majority of people that saw it went in there because they were so excited for Multiverse of Madness that they just wanted to watch another multiverse film to get them hyped for Doctor Strange. And man, this movie just freaking said, hold my purse, hold my phone, hold my shoes. Just took over the whole damn thing, man. It was really entertaining. I can't lie.